seconds? Oh my God, I'm so happy. There's a key in my pen. So the clock's going really fast. So the clock's 4 minutes after 5. Good afternoon and welcome to Artist Review. As you know, that means it's the end of a month and it's currently the last Wednesday of November 2008. Can you believe this monumental year is coming to a close? And of course, today is actually the big day. It's pre-Thanksgiving. Tomorrow everyone will be stuffing themselves, even though maybe it's going to be a lean Thanksgiving due to our unfortunate economy. But we want to fill it with visual delights. We've got a great new artist, as we do every month, and he's going to be showing a goodly number of his pieces. He is a painter, and you know those are multiple artists, but we've had sculptors lately, so that way we're getting back to our main stage painting. And what we want to do now is, I doubt if we will have a Christmas show because of the holidays of the station. So you'll probably see Restaurant Review repeated during that period. But we'll let you know as it gets closer to that time. And before we forget, we do want to wish all of you all a happy Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and start. Let's introduce our guest. The artist's name is James T. Martin. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Great. Now, James has brought a lot of pieces to us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you hail from? Are you a native?
I was raised in Virginia, but I've been in New Orleans since '94.
'94?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you came for the hurricane. Because we had a hurricane back then. I don't know if you remember. We had a Hurricane Andrew.
I seem to remember something about that.
But that was just a prelude to the big one.
Yeah.
To the big one. Okay. And what did you come directly from Virginia, or you went and stopped some other places, or what?
I did. After college, I came down to. I had some friends that moved down here, and they talked about how great it was. And I was in my early 20s, and I wanted to do a great deal of nothing, and it's been going very well.
Nothing has?
Well, I like to say that, but
so nothing has become something.
Absolutely.
Great. Well,
Absolutely.
It's always good to have good friends to either help you out or to put you in the worst circumstances of life.
Yeah.
But we're glad you came because we feel for our size city, we have a thriving artist community along as well as our restaurants and our musicians. So we're really glad that our arts in general is a very well-received institution here in our city and not just a post-Katrina event.
Yeah, and I do want to mention I worked in Jackson Square for about 5 years, starting in the early 2000s.
Now, we're not going to hold that against you.
Okay.
Because, Jackson Square artists have a real reputation, and
absolutely.
Sometimes it's not the best, so.
Well, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. The important thing is that you've come indoors since then.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And it's worth doing.
It's worth doing. Now, do you have your own studio in-house? You do it somewhere else?
Right
or work
now,
in one of the shared communities?
Right now, I'm sharing a studio at the Coleman School with a good friend, Stephanie Mazinski.
Oh, good.
And I work at home. I have a workshop in the backyard and
excellent
classic artist situation with a lot of working space in the front of the house.
Okay. Now, we're going to see that you're a painter, of course, but you have delved in what we showed, several different mediums. It's not strictly either all oil or all acrylic.
That's right.
You've got some other. In fact, why don't we do this? I know you want to mention that two things we want to mention. One is find out, and we'll go into more detail at the end, because you are very fortunate in that you actually have 3 shows going on. Is that correct?
That's right. I have 3 shows happening right now at Café des Gars, then across Ponce de Leon at the Swirl Wine Store in the back there. They've got a dozen paintings. And also at Daniel's on the Bayou, which is in the Bayou Esplanade apartment buildings.
The Park Esplanade.
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank
Daniel's
you.
on the Bayou. Daniel Tabor, for those hopefully he saw it when he has been on our show twice. His original restaurant called Daniel's many, many years ago in Jefferson Parish, our neighboring parish. And now he's come back to home in Orleans. He's got a lovely restaurant in the bottom floor of the Park Esplanade overlooking the bayou. So he's got some of his work as well. So if you go to any of those places, and we will reiterate those and give you more details near the end of the show. But one last thing, we want to give an artist, since a lot of people are on the computer today, and if they might have missed a show and can't see it again, they can see your work because you do have a website. Is that right?
That's right. JamesTMartin.com. Spelled no spaces, and capitalization is not important. JamesTMartin.com.
And what would you say, a representative piece? Do you just have a couple of pieces, or you have a pretty good representation of your artwork?
The website right now is just a slideshow, a simple slideshow of 5 pieces, including an image of myself in a body painting. So it's rudimentary at this point, but we're going to get more going soon.
Excellent. Well, that's why this show is more relevant then, because usually a lot of our artists have almost the larger body of work on the website, so they can get as much exposure through the world as possible. So until yours actually expands beyond, this show is going to, and of course your current showings are going to be able to bring to the people a lot more of your variety. So without further ado, let's start taking a look at some of the work. We've got here, and if I remember correctly, you told me this is a self-portrait.
That's right.
Why don't we zoom in on that, and it's framed. Let's talk a little bit about it. Now, first of all, this is it some type of ink?
It is acrylic enamel.
Acrylic enamel. Now, I've
on paper.
Not heard that term. We've heard both individually, so maybe you can give us a little explanation of what is acrylic enamel for us naive people who don't know all the different nuances of art.
Well, I mean, I understand it just as those two words put together. I would say it's it has a nice shiny, what would you call it?
Now, is it applied with a brush?
I call these poured paintings. They are not applied with a brush. Yes, it was applied with gravity.
You pour them on the art? No,
that's right.
Literally pour them?
Literally.
Okay, because acrylic, is pretty shiny in its own self.
Well, it does take some ingenuity to get the right consistency, and you can be sure that there are many failures for every success.
I see.
It is one of those mediums that requires accepting a lot of mistakes.
Now, I noticed that this has an asymmetrical hole punch side. Could this be composition paper or something? Is this
it came out of a drawing
art paper?
It came out of a drawing notebook, but there is something of a statement behind it, because it's a self-portrait. I call this one the Rtist, and you might recognize the main prominent feature of the face. And it's a work in progress, and in order to reflect that, I too am a work in progress. I enjoy the feeling of having just torn it out of a notebook.
Well, now, of course, every artist, but my concern is, when will you ever put the glasses on yourself?
Well, that's a good question.
Okay. Well, it is framed on the glass in a kind of a blonde wood. Is that a particular type of wood to frame?
Not that I know.
Or is it stained? You just stained, or it came like this?
Oh, it came just like that.
What size are we talking about for the audience? So give me an example so people will get an idea of how large.
The dimensions of the frame are 11 by 14.
Very common size.
The artwork is 8.5 by 11.
8.5 by 11. So really a key little piece, very contemporary. I don't know if he would have a part with it, since it's its own self. This way it serves for not having a mirror.
It is showing.
It works well that you don't have to use a mirror. But let's go ahead and move on a little bit. He's got a few more in this same medium. And why don't you, James, go ahead and put up yours, and let's talk about the next one. This is not a self-portrait, I gather.
That's right. This is a piece that I call the Good Girl Control Grid, which is...
So to stay. The Good Girl Control Grid.
That's right. Now, sorry, I'm just a little distracted.
Yeah, it's okay.
It is enamel. Again, it is the same enamel, and this is on notebook paper. And really, it's sort of a commentary about how we all are called, if you will, to put a pretty face on things, or just to pretend sometimes, like a flower arrangement. And that's really what this. That's really what this is all about.
So it's a flower lady.
That's right, and the medium is a little bit unusual in this, in that I painted it on notebook paper from a child's notebook.
Oh, I hope they don't miss it.
I don't think
so. Of course,
so.
you don't want to give it back to them in its present state. It might not meet with it might meet objectionable code of the parents, because they'll notice that the lady is wearing a transparent dress.
That's right. She's
but really very attractive. In fact, her upper torso almost looks like eyes, and really kind of a little Picasso-esque, in that. Anyway, very, very interesting. Approximately the same size
That's
as
right.
the self-portrait, but done in a lovely all black. Well, it's a black mat and a metal frame? We have a black metal frame?
It's a silk mat, yes, in a black metal frame.
Oh, a silk frame really came uptown. A silk frame, very, very nice. Gives it a little more pizzazz, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's great. We got two of them there. Now we're still going in that same vein. And why don't we get a close-up of that one? And this one's really neat because you really accentuate with a little bit more color by putting the mat in a nice bold red, have those red, black, and white great colors. Now, again, this is either the same lady grew a head, or this is maybe one of your neighbors. Tell us about this particular. Do you have a title on this one?
I do. The title of this one is called "As a Woman 3 Times."
As a Woman, interesting title. Mm-hmm. Is there anything more you want to amplify on that, or it speaks for itself in that regard?
If you look closely, there are 3 torsos and 3 faces.
I thought I saw several too, but I wanted to be sure. So there you go, folks. It's not just a made-up name like so many times we feel the artist just makes them. So here we really have a triple exposure and done very well. Notice our director has put up our phone numbers. We understand we've got a nice following of James today, so if any of you all out there would like to call in and ask a question of James, we'll take a few calls, but we do have a lot of work to go through, so anything you want to ask, punch it through the number, and the director will be glad to push it through. Okay, as we said, once again, this is that same acrylic enamel, is that right?
That's right.
But now, and just done in multiple colors.
And
black,
watercolor.
And watercolor.
That's right.
Okay. That's right. It did look like a little different hue to the other colors. So.
This is not the acrylic enamel. This is India ink and watercolor.
India ink and watercolor. And the significance of the almost cycloptic red eye, is there any significance to that?
It is an expressionist piece, and I believe that ultimately the correct interpretation is up to the viewer.
That's the most important. Once again, this one really is dynamically enhanced by the framing and the matting, because the wonderful red mat, vibrant red mat, of course, just echoes the colors in the actual study. And then, of course, I think we have a black wood frame instead of a metal frame, so that really keeps the composition together. So really very interesting. Again, a contemporary portrait that I think is very suitable for today's date. And remember, Christmas is coming around, so this would be great gift for the little woman. All right, James, why don't we take a look at the next one, see what we got.
Okay. This one is currently in the show at Café des Gars.
Okay.
The title of this piece is Fate. And the medium is India ink on watercolor paper, just like the last one. It was on watercolor paper, and the mat, you can get a little bit.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm missing. So this is India ink. Did you say this had a title or not? I heard it was
Fate.
F-A-T-E.
That's right. F-A-T-E.
Very well. Very good. That's an excellent, I think, title for this particular one. Now, this is a smaller piece itself, but of course you dramatized it with the magnificent framing.
Yes.
So the actual art itself is, what would you say the size is of the piece?
Oh, the small piece is not much bigger than a postcard.
A little bit larger than a postcard.
Maybe
and
4 by
again,
6 or something.
Why is Fate always a female? Do you have that answer, James?
I'm not sure, but I bet the
But
Greeks
you know you
knew.
followed the classic rules in that. That's right, though.
It's true. I do have some classical influence.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I mean, we all do, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm just more aware of it than most.
Okay.
But,
well, that's the important thing is you stuck to the standards here, rather than just arbitrarily, just for deliberate make it into a male. So a female fate couldn't get any better. Again, you've got a vibrant crimson large mat to really bring out the size of the piece. And
Yeah,
just
I designed my own mats. I'm glad you mentioned that.
You do?
I do. I
Wow.
take fabric and I make them into mat board and.
Well, now there you go, folks. And we're not only getting a signature piece of art, we're also getting a design piece of matting, because too many of the mats, even though today's mats are magnificent with all the different textures, there's nothing better than getting a one-of-a-kind mat as well. So you get two for the price of one, both the piece and also the matting. And now tell us about the frame. Now, that is really the 3D. I don't know if maybe we can pull back a little bit. Okay, we pull way back. We just wanted to show the depth of that painting. In fact, of that frame. Now, is there a black lining inside the frame to really kind of bring that together?
Well, I just noticed when I bought the frame that it would be good for a black drawing.
Yeah.
Because of this black band on the inside.
Exactly. So you just really were conscious of the whole road with regard to layers and layers there. So excellent. So that's fate. So what would you say the overall size of the piece with the frame?
Oh, I think that this one might be 16 by 20.
Well, let's say again, a fairly
on the outer
common
edge.
standard type of frame. So that's great. That's great. In case you
it's a standard frame. I bought it at a local frame store.
In case you ever wanted to change, some people like to change their own frames, even though I don't know why you had one on this one. The camera really doesn't do it justice with regard to the serious depth, almost like a shadow box dimension without the glass. It's really fantastic.
And just honestly, with these mattings in general and the entire show at Café des Gars, I was really going for something that would complement a very masculine decor. That's what I was thinking.
Well, you see, that's interesting because, there are some lovely lady pictures. It is very masculine, done in chartreuse and black and white with some, prior to his hanging, they had all black and white photographs. And so it's really added a great dimension. Now we're going to a larger piece, and I think we're moving in also our media stuff. So why don't we take a real close look at this? And on the surface, it looks like a beautiful vase of florals again. Let's talk about this, please.
This piece is entitled Fall.
Fall, F-A-L-L.
F-A-L-L.
Beautiful.
And it's mainly, I was thinking that it was nice fall colors.
It's almost a Christmas poinsettia there.
That's right.
Really magnificent.
Almost.
There you go.
Maybe
really.
The next one will be winter, perhaps.
There you go. Okay, but this is a beautiful. Now, what media again is this? The going back to the acrylics?
That's right. That's
because
right.
it does look like it has more sheen than the other, and with a lovely. Now, the coloring, of course, is watercolor. Or what is the colorings?
It is all acrylic.
All acrylic.
And the entire painting was poured. There was no brush involved.
That is totally amazing. We
Gravity
really can't
assisted.
imagine the pouring process. It's how liquid is the gelatinous material.
It depends on the effect I'm going for. The material, the color fields inside the vase were in a more liquid state than the. Because there's a little elasticity sometimes in a thicker pour that helps create some of those fun, really energetic
Is this
shapes.
all freehand, or are you
That's right.
stenciling? Or
There's
it's all freehand.
It's just me and the canvas.
You and your fingers.
That's right.
Wonderful. And what I really love about it is, again, the depth of the vase. Well, look at that, how vibrant, folks. No, this is not a Rtist test. This is a beautiful, beautiful flowers, fall flowers and leaves. And as we scan down the stems, we'll get to this magnificent vase. And the reason why I'm really focusing on the vase is not only because of the great blue coloring, but look at the depth with regard to the refraction, how you'd see maybe of the light on and the other colors, and as you see through the stem. So it really is extremely well done, James. And
thank you very much.
Let's talk about what would be the size of the piece, and then we'll go on to describe the frame.
The canvas is 16 by 20.
16 by 20, okay.
I'd say add 3.5 inches for the.
Okay. And this frame, let's describe this as a solid wood frame, and what kind of. Again, I'm looking from the back, so I can't see the total tin on until we bring it back.
It has a goldish and maybe even a bronze-ish tint.
Yeah, there we go.
And
excellent.
I thought that it complemented the fall motif well. And
well, yeah, very woodsy. like
Yeah.
almost, tree related, like it's, branch or something. That's a really well done. I didn't notice that at all when we first brought it up. So thank you for focusing on those beautiful, almost simulated knotholes of the branch. Okay, let's take a look at another. We're just moving along here, folks. We're talking to James T. Martin. We mentioned he's got 3 gallery showings right now. We've got a lot of his works in. We just keep building with excitement here. Let's move on to the next one. What do we have here, James?
Okay, now this is a watercolor piece entitled Putin Palin.
What was that?
Putin Palin.
Now, how more relevant could this be? Now, did you just name it, or did you just finish it during the campaign, or
well,
did you
honestly,
rename it because of the success of that campaign?
Well, honestly, I was thinking one day that that might be a good presidential ticket one day, Putin and Palin.
Well, again, once again, the only objection
really
I
just
have
kidding
is that
about that.
we've forgotten the glasses.
All right.
Her signature glasses. Now, notice
But
it's
really
so patriotic, folks. It's in the magnificent vibe, red, white, and blue. What could be more patriotic?
That's right.
Now, Putin, I don't know how...
He's a little leftist for my taste, but it was really just a joke. I was really thinking about he's such a masculine dude, and I was just, and also another.
Putin is?
Yeah, he's always posing with guns and killing animals and stuff, and so's Putin, and so is our Palin. And just to mention, another title for this would be Sarah Palin in a Russian hat.
Oh no, I don't like that. Putin Palin you can't beat that. It's alliteration, it's rhyme, and it just really does it right. I just can't believe you're that politically savvy to come up with a piece so timely as this. And like I said, the only misjudge is obviously you caught her on a day when she didn't wear those signature glasses. But
I
really,
just not called to make to wear.
Have you thought about donating this to Sarah Palin?
Not even for a moment.
Really? No. I mean, I know you artists have to make a living, but I mean, she might even send you some funds from the Alaskan oil money or something. But I mean, this would be great for her office, etc.
With the joke and everything, I think it might be a better donation for Ron Paul.
Right. Or RuPaul. Anyway, I noticed that we do have, for folks who haven't noticed, we're on a solid stark black. Now, this is where I see more the Putin, the framing and the matting. Mm-hmm. You've got a black, again, this is one of your creations, the mats?
It's black silk.
Black silk again with the black, and that's all wood frame, a little thicker wood than some of the other narrow ones, right?
That's right.
So what are we talking again, piece size, both the canvas and the overall?
The paper, I believe, is 11 by 14. The piece is 14 by 16.
Okay, that's good. I mean, that's close enough. No one's going to fault you on that. But the important thing is a very relevant piece. All right, now, folks, I told you we were building. We've kind of moved away from the, I won't say caricatures, but the portraits. Mm-hmm. And we're now starting to get in some real vibrancy. And wait till you see it's just going to really escalate to a tremendous crescendo. We've got a real good systematic plot for you here, folks. Now, let's take a look at this vibrant, red, again, reds and blacks. What medium are we using here?
This is acrylic, and this is brushwork.
Okay. You mean we finally took a brush out?
That's right. Well, the watercolors were, of course, all done with a brush as well.
Okay, so the reds are the background is all acrylic?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And what do we have a title on this piece?
I never have titled this piece.
Wow.
Although I have kicked around occasionally calling it The Family or something.
Family, well, I can see the unity there. Mm-hmm. What I love about it, folks, of course, is, again, the demonstrative of the color, the really significant colors. And notice that, there's predominantly circles or ellipses in the frame, but then the frame itself, if we pull back, is just a very, very sturdy black, a huge, thick black frame. Not only in the front part of it, but certainly in its depth. I mean, the frame itself must be at least 2.5, maybe even 3 inches in depth.
Right.
And so that really highlights dramatically the difference with regard to the ovals. Mm-hmm. So circles and squares, I think, just really work well. I just hope but a family, I can see where it's all unified, either under the paternity or the maternity, whoever's the central figure, and all the rest unifying off of that. Let's get some dimensions on this now. Again, this is on canvas, folks.
The painting
it's almost a square.
It is a square. It's 12 by 12.
12 by 12, and then
add 3 inches. Add 3 inches to the edge of the frame.
So 15. But,
and it's almost 3 inches thick. That's true.
Almost, so I was right. So, folks, that's going to give it even more dimension. So, not only is it leaping off the canvas, but because it will project so well off of your wall and it will be so deep, it gives it almost a 3D look, but just really fantastic. So, if you want something with vibrancy, in that drab old room, or something that really will be an eye catcher, this is certainly the piece. Now, is this being shown anywhere at the present time, or is it?
It isn't. It is not in a current
that's
show.
Good. You got to keep some things under wrap into your own privacy. Okay, why don't you hike up another one? Let's see what you got there for the folks.
Okay. This is actually a crayon.
Oh, okay. Now we went back to the
an oil crayon.
An oil crayon. Now we notice that, unfortunately, the camera's having a little trouble picking up the top of it. It must have been lighter. You did a beautiful job at the bottom of the figure. And do we have a title on this figure?
This is called Rocket.
Rocket.
Which is, of course, traditionally a male image.
Yes.
But I just tried to.
So this one you did go against the grain.
I do try
Although,
to.
I could say that. Anyway, the important thing is that you've got it featured in, and like I say, unfortunately, the main part of the rocket, the tall part, is just not as visible because you didn't go as dark as the top part. But I'm sure that's because it's exploding into flight or preparing for flight.
That's right.
And once again, you've gone with that wonderful crimson matting and the black wood frame. So I thought we had finished these, but I think this will be the last one with regard to that. Excellent. Let's get back to my stuff, folks, because I find ours much more exciting. And now here we've got another frame, one of these 3-dimensional, very, very deep. These are reminding me from the backside of the old time of Chinese checker games or any kind of board game. It's really cool. But this is a super contemporary one, folks, because we got it in the natural blonde, and look at that border, how vibrant, against the magnificent greens and blues. It's almost our two-lane colors here, the greens and blues. Tell us, what we titled this one, or have we?
I have titled this one. This one is called The Battle Between Love and Jealousy.
Oh, my goodness. Folks, can you believe that? That's the title. Don't forget, folks, those numbers down there in case you want to call in and ask us any question about James D. Martin's work. But because he promised me there were hordes of his followers going to watch today. So
Did I say followers?
I'd like to hear from one of his, followers, yeah. Anyway, let's look at these colors, folks, because it's not just blues. As we get up to a zoom, look at that. They almost come out to be like vibrant, almost purple, or that violet blue, or I don't know what they call it. And then, of course, there's the black and the white or the gray. So, and so it's the battle, one more time, of what and what?
Love and jealousy.
Love and jealousy. Look at that. All right, now what size are we talking about here?
This is also 12 by 12.
12 by 12.
And with the same depth of the frame, 3 inches,
now,
almost 3 inches.
There you go. Look at that.
Frame.
Look what that cameraman was able to show, folks. See? The frame alone is magnificent. Now, of course, you didn't make your frames, right? You didn't.
This frame I did make.
Oh, you did make. So
yes,
it's got another purpose. So it's not all store-bought frames here. These are great when you have it. Individual construction of the frame as well as the piece. Now, did we say what the medium is? Is it, again, the acrylic?
Yes, that's right.
There's so many different colors here. I don't know if we have mixtures of stuff, mixed media, or what?
This is entirely acrylic.
Entirely acrylic. And what would you call that purplish color? Is that do you recall? Or you just... did you make it like that, or was it automatic?
Oh, I'm sure I did.
Yeah, you mix your own. Huh?
I generally, unless it's white or black, I try not to use something right out of a tube, although sometimes that's the right choice to make.
Well, what a great color combination. The vibrancy we're noticing so far, folks, don't you, that those backgrounds are just those vibrant colors, and then the other ones work with it on the actual piece itself, or the subject matter, to really bring it out. So this is great. And again, framing it, who would have thought? You would have thought you would come up with one of your big black frames, but framing it in the natural wood makes it so contemporary for today's household. This would be a natural for someone's house. Okay, why don't we pick up another and let's move along. We are making progress here. Wow, now we're starting to get to something that we can talk about.
Now,
This is a much larger piece, folks. As you notice, we're ascending in size, which we love to do. And check it out. This has got a lot. This is almost like a mosaic, folks. It's so dynamic. So tell us, first of all, is there a title?
yeah, this is called The Warrior.
The Warrior.
That's right.
Wow, here we go again. And what media? Is it all acrylic
That's
again?
right. It's acrylic.
All acrylic.
On
Tell us
canvas.
about some of these vibrant colors. In case I know, of course, we've got once again. You always have those great blacks and whites, and accentuated by several shades of green. You've got reds and oranges and yellows and Wedgwood blues or grays and red, bright, vibrant reds. Go ahead.
My grandmother actually was a big influence when in my color choices, and when all of my life she had a large set of draperies in her living room in Alabama, and
Alabama. We didn't hear about Alabama.
that's where my family.
What part of Alabama? Give them a plug.
She was in Gadsden, Alabama.
Gadsden, Gadsden.
That's
Yes,
right. I've got
wonderful
family.
town.
I've got family in Birmingham, Mountain Brook, and Magnolia Springs, Alabama. We've got some property in Magnolia Springs.
Great.
All my grandparents lived in Alabama.
Tell me, there's one thing about this piece that intrigues me. I mean, all of it is very vibrant, but there's a little red caboose type structure down near the knee of the warrior. I was wondering, does that have any significance, or it's strictly because it definitely looks like I don't know if you noticed, it's red and black, has
Let's
a black
see.
center hole and maybe a
Red
wheel.
and black and has a black center hole. I didn't intend there to be a vehicle.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought that might be his chariot.
but like I said, it is important what the viewer sees.
Oh, always. Otherwise, they're not going to take it home with them.
But really, I think that this is the title of the piece is The Warrior, and the piece is about being equipped. Be prepared. Is that the Boy Scout thing?
Yes,
but having all of the tools,
all
the proper
the tools,
and,
you
and
can see it
sensors,
on.
and being prepared, and having your heart in the right, strong.
Well, the heart seemed to have dropped, but I mean, if that was his heart. But anyway.
And it's
But of
like
course,
I said,
he's working up for a battle, so I'm sure a lot of adrenaline and other gastric juices are forming in there. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's going to a black frame. This is wood on the frame.
It is, and I made this frame myself. It's a very simple frame.
Yes, because you certainly don't want to overshadow that magnificent piece with all those colors. All right, great. Now, our first horizontal piece, folks. How you like this? This is going to be great. Why don't we go ahead and get a close-up, and let's talk about this one. This,
okay.
Again, got some of my colors, almost the great purples, hopefully, and it with greens, really, really vibrant. And look, folks, it's a community. Mm-hmm. This is not a post-Katrina painting. Tell us about it, James.
I call this the neighborhood.
No. Did I guess?
I live in Faubourg St. John, and
beautiful place.
I think it's the greatest place in the world to live.
Well,
and
except for the other neighborhoods that feel differently. But yes. Now, is any one of these your structure?
No.
No. Okay. So it's strictly neighbors' homes. And can you tell us what's up in the sky? Those clouds? Or those are just
well, I like to get
always subject to audio visual interpretation.
Yeah, there are some mysterious clouds up there in the sky sometimes, but this is an attempt to get at the atmosphere of New Orleans.
Yeah, it's a difficult
and depict what it's like sometimes to. Sometimes it really feels like you're breathing in something.
Yeah, very
thick.
heavy
and
also.
And I'm sure we can all relate in this market. We can all relate to the to the heavy, the dense.
Now let's take a look at some of the structure close up. Are those? I think are these individuals in their structures? Let's take a little close up of a couple of them. What do we have in that first little home? Is that anything recognizable or just decorations?
It's almost like you can walk in them.
Yeah, they almost look transparent.
I tried to make them. I tried to build a lot of contradictions into the structure.
Wow.
Some of them look deeper than they could be. And a friend of mine used to say it looks like somebody went to Home Depot and got every single kind of window and nailed them all to the house. But what I think is interesting about this depiction of houses is that if you spend some time outside at some point and you look at a house that's 100 yards away or so, it really looks more like this than it does a rectangle with other rectangles in it. You're going to be surprised where the light is and where the lines all come together and such. And I know that might sound ridiculous to say, but
so you're saying that your world is reality and the real world is more impressionism. Is that what you're saying?
That's a fair interpretation.
Fair interpretation. Okay, now, folks, as we said, this is a horizontal piece, so this would be great over a sofa or something long. What are we talking about dimensions-wise here? Again, it's one piece of canvas horizontally with a magnificent little wood frame, a black wood, not to detract from any of those vibrant colors. I mean, a lot of purples and maroons and blues, those shadings. So this is really good because it really goes into a depth on color there without going into so many different colors. There's variations on the same hue. Mm-hmm. All right, what size would we say here this is, James?
I'm not sure, but I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 by 28.
14 by 28. Very, very. Now, is this appearing anywhere or only in your gallery?
I have not shown. This is the first public viewing.
A debut, folks. A debut. So you know how important that is. So you get an artist brings a piece to you that's not been seen anywhere. That's really excellent. Okay, well, we're going to move along because, look at that time just ticking away, and we got some valuable pieces to show you. This will be the last one before I think we go up. Oh, no, we got maybe one or two before we go up to the huge pieces. Mm-hmm. Here we go. This is certainly a compliment to the last one James was holding, to the Warrior. What do we have? What do we call this one? This is really great.
I do have a title. I'll think of the title in just a moment.
I do not have the title. Okay.
I do. I know it. I just can't remember it at the moment. But this is an abstract surrealist piece that it depicts. This was part of the show that was entitled the. Wait a minute now. I know dead air time is terrible.
You're going to have to move along. So if it comes to you, that'd be great.
Something like that.
Anyway,
this is about internal organs.
Okay.
And just the biological.
That's fine. Anyway, so the key here is that you had a series of these, so that must have really been a wonderful thing to see it not alone as an individual piece. Again, the size on this one is a little bit, again, we're moving up in size. What would you say the size is?
24 by 14.
Okay, really neat. And then let's take our look. I'll just put it right here. All right, that's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Yes,
we got two more on your side, folks, and then we're going to go to the big pieces. Not that these aren't. All right. Now, this is what I fell in love with, folks. Not necessarily this particular painting, but I first was introduced to James Martin at Daniel's on the Bayou, because I do patronize a lot of the restaurants that we show on here. And we'll see a little later a closer rendition to the one that he has hanging. But besides a lot of the individual character portraits, he also had these stunning, almost Picasso-esque, again, women. And this is really a double one. Again, vibrant colors. Look at this, folks. Tell us a little bit about this, James.
This painting is called The Pair.
The Pair.
The Pair, as in
P-A-I-R, of course.
That's right. And the fun part about this painting is we're getting there to it, the confusion in the anatomy there.
Oh, my. So it's almost like a Siamese twin.
Almost. And so the question is, is it mother-child? Is it girlfriend-girlfriend? Is it mother-siblings? But this piece has gotten a great deal of attention. It was until very recently in the show at Swirl on Ponce de Leon.
Okay, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Again, these acrylics, what are we dealing with?
This is an acrylic painting.
On canvas.
16 by 20 with 3 or 4.
What type of frame? Again, we got a big, massive kind of frame, kind of balancing the femininity of the pair.
And it is the same frame as the smaller frame that we saw earlier.
With that 3D and that real depth.
That's right. With the
and
black.
I noticed that they do also share that disease of the eye on the same eye on the mirror image. That's really very, very cool. So extremely well done. And remember that one, folks, called The Pair. Again, interesting how he did interweave the human anatomies, as we saw on that one that was almost had 3 in one. Okay, again, we're talking to James Martin, kind enough today to bring numerous of his paintings. showing at 3 places. Plus, don't forget that website, James T. Martin, all one word, no spaces.com. You can see, unfortunately, a paltry only 5 pieces. But in case you want to go back and while you're waiting for the replay of this show and see something that I'm not sure if it is any different than what we're showing here, but certainly just to give you a little bit more idea about James and his artwork. And I'm sure there'll be information there in case you need to contact him and want to get a commission or anything else and see his work, find out more details of where the 3 showings are. Now let's really go. We've got about 4 or 5 more pieces left, folks, and they're really growing in size. We're still coming on that same contemporary, going back to that contemporary abstract circles that he really has deep-seated meaning. And let's take a look at this really big piece, and James, why don't we start describing it?
This piece is entitled Expectation.
Expectation, okay.
That's right. And I painted the piece just after Katrina, and it was really a reaction to the state of expectation that everybody had after the storm that as we know, was largely unsatisfied, unmet. So, but it's a beautiful piece. It's very happy. It's very positive, and I love it. I'm not quite sure what else to say about it.
Well, no, the only thing I noticed, and again, unfortunately, folks, sometimes I'm not sure if it's our monitor or not, but our camera is picking, our monitor is showing the background is really in 2 shades, but from what I'm seeing in real life looking at the piece, it seems to be only one. But see right there, it seems to be a division of a vibrant orange to almost a pink. But I don't believe that's the case on the painting itself. Is that right, James?
That is the case.
That is the case.
The background is 2-tone. It goes from
very
magenta
good. Well,
into
thank goodness our camera. See, that's the importance, folks, of getting close up, because obviously from a distance, I'm looking at it from maybe 15, 20 feet, and I don't see that distinction. I see, almost a continuum of the magnificent, vibrant orange background. But what a cool idea. Any idea why we came up with that idea of splitting that background?
Well, if you notice the signatures on its side, we've actually hung this one, and I'm sure it's my fault. We're depicting it on its side. It's the magenta or the pink is the land, and then the orange is the sky.
Oh, so we're not showing
so
it
if the
correct.
people at home could just sort of bend, lean their heads over to one side.
Well, what we'll do? So we
these things do happen.
Yeah. So,
but it's not essential.
Well, folks, why don't we real quickly? We'll have our great cameraman go ahead. In other words, the orange is going to be the sky. Is that right?
That's right.
And pink at the bottom. So there we go. So let's do justice. We hate to do misjustice to the artist. So now it looks substantially different, folks. Do you see it? Yeah, definitely. This is it.
And there's a bit more going on figuratively at this angle.
Right, yeah. And the other one, you really weren't seeing the congestion of the circles. And again, he calls it expectation, or I would call it anxiety, post-Katrina, but just really magnificent to think about putting those vibrant backgrounds instead of something depressing. You've got a lot of life, a lot of vitality, the anxiety with the positive roots, the hope for the future post-Katrina, as opposed to the dwelling in the sorrows of Katrina. Now, this is a large piece, again framed, I think, with a black frame. Again, it's hard since we don't have it right here to see it. Tell us about the approximate size. This is much larger than any of our other pieces we've seen so far.
20 by 30.
40 by 30, and
20,
again...
I'm sorry, 20.
20 by 30, yeah. 40 didn't seem right. 20 by 30, again, it's acrylic, and it is a horizontal piece. Okay, we're going to go on to another one. Again, folks, we're talking to James Martin, a transplant from Virginia with roots in Alabama, who came to us in '94. I believe that was Hurricane Andrew, wanting to get his feet wet, literally, before the big dip in 2005. And fortunately, that didn't frighten him off. So his friends brought him here, and whether they stayed or not is not important. The important thing is that we captured him and didn't let him go. So the majority of your friends still here? Let me just ask that before we go to move on. Those same ones that kind of enticed you to come down.
You know how New Orleans is. They come and go.
Come in. Boy, it's just like the trolley. just like the streetcar. I mean, and come and go. All right, folks, hold your horses. Look at this. Wait till you see this next biggie. This one we're not even put on the easel. We're standing on the easel from the floor. It's so big. This is a whopper. You thought you saw it all when you saw the Nautilus, and oh no! I mean, this is unbelievable. You really got some stuff going. Again, we got, excuse me, those similar orange and now, do we have this properly?
Yes.
Oh, good, because again, we've got the orange sky now and the pinkish floor as well. What do we have a name for this?
I think this is a self-portrait, and I called it the being.
Say it again.
It's a self-portrait, and I called it the being, or the
being, B-E-I-N-G.
That's right.
Oh, okay. And you say it's a self-portrait.
That's right.
Well, you look extraordinarily different than the original self-portrait we started with. I guess it must be the colors. Because in the dramatic black and white that we saw.
Yes, I used non-local color.
So this definitely brings. Maybe this is more like your inner being. You think, huh?
Absolutely. I think you've hit the nail right on the head.
And again, we're still using our acrylics. Is this
That's
the
right.
acrylics enamel or the regular acrylic?
This is Rtist acrylic applied with a brush.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't tell me this is a poured. I don't believe this is poured.
No, this is not a poured painting.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, once again, is this showing anywhere?
No.
No. Okay.
Not at present.
Another hidden away gem, folks. Mm-hmm. Now, tell them the size. This is. I mean, this is huge,
Ooh.
Folks. And we got bigger ones to come. What size would you say this is, folks?
It is 4 feet tall and 2 feet across.
2 by 4, but 4 by 2, really. So just remember that. So it's the inner being of James T. Martin. So whether you want to see the external in the smaller version and the great little enamel, acrylic enamel, or whether you want to see his inner workings, it would be great to pair them together because the colors are just tremendous. We're talking to James T. Anderson, now a local James T. Martin. Excuse me, I apologize. I'm thinking while I'm talking. Now a resident artist. Hopefully we can say that since he's been here almost 16 years. That's great. Okay, now folks, we're going to go see the largest of his pieces. We saved 2 others, which I think are my favorites for last, but this one is his largest piece that he brought. And let's go ahead and take a look at that magnificent. It's a solid white background, which we've only seen before in the portraits, but a theme that we've seen, some type of humanistic plant, perhaps in a vase, or carrying a bucket here, or stepping in a bucket. Look how great this is, folks. Let's tell us, is there a title to this one?
There's a working title for this one, which is an homage to Jackson Pollock.
An homage to Jackson Pollock. Folks, I hope you know, I know you artists out there do know, but Jackson Pollock was that phenomenal artist, and I've forgotten what his time period was. Was it the 90s or maybe even earlier than that? Huge abstracts with a lot of things being thrown, paint on the floor. It was very contentious when he first came out. But whites with these fabulous paints thrown all over, very hypnotic. And so we certainly can see that in the upper portion, and the bottom portion we see again some of his interests. So again, you can change the name if you care, but now is the bottom, is it actually in a plant vase or a bucket, or is it, what are we showing in those blues down at the bottom?
The idea is that she is a floral arrangement.
So it is. Once again, that's a vase. Now we're getting, I couldn't see it from the distance, so now that we're getting close again, once again, it's a vase with water perhaps, or a blue
That's
tint.
right. That's right.
And these are, that's her stems, which are the legs, going up into just a magnificent florally bloom that she has on her upper torso. I mean, this is magnificent. It really is huge. So now let's talk about, this is almost taller than one of our cameramen. Let's talk about the size on here, James, please.
It's 60 inches tall.
5 feet tall, folks. Now you're going to have a big wall. This is wallpaper, folks. You don't need to paint the wall, nothing. This is gonna be the piece in your home. 5 feet by what?
36 inches across.
5 by 3. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, this is it, folks. If you want a contemporary piece that's going to be the stopper in your house, the go-getaway. Really, you should build a house around this piece, instead of just bringing it into something new. Again, that was canvas, and what type of is this poured up?
That's right. So it is those acrylic and acrylic enamel.
Acrylic, so I thought I saw mixed media combination. Really well done. So that's a great piece. Now, is that showing anywhere other than your house?
There is
a
a very similar piece, part of that series at Swirl, hanging right now in the 3100 block of Ponce de Leon.
Wow. Okay. Well, again, folks, we're going to go over that at the end, the 3 places, so you can see these up fresh. You're not allowed to touch, but you certainly can get very, very close. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, I was introduced to James' work from one of our restaurants, Daniel's on the Bayou, and the piece that knocked my socks over, again, one of these female portraits. We saw the twin just a little while ago, but now we're really getting to the size and to the dimension of the female anatomy in portrait. Now, this is not the one in Daniel's. Daniel's was basically a blue with a white, which was just so striking. But again, all of these women are different but the same. So this is really good. Now, take a look as we pan back. I mean, this is the strength of femininity. Tell us about the name of this, and hopefully we have one.
I don't have a title for this one, but I have called it in the past the girlfriend circuitry. I think.
Well, I think since you do have almost a series, I'm sure if you took them from different places, put them together, just this particular. You really ought to come up with the names of them if you had to put it almost in a series, like a triptych or even more than that. But anyway, folks, this is acrylic again on canvas.
That's right.
Super vibrant. I guess the circuitry is the magnificent halo. It's like a psychedelic back halo surrounding the individual.
The glory.
Oh, Laurie's the name?
The glory.
Oh, the glory. I see. Let's see if we can identify a few of the colors. Notice that she's in a contemporary hairstyling. It's not something that you want. She's not got big hair, like they say. She's got straight, but something to flatter her face. Let's go over some of the colors again, please.
There's it's orange and reds and greens. I see some magenta, and of course the black line that is very contemporary.
Right. That black line is so definitive in here because then it's just blown with the colors. So again, you can see the circuitry and the definitive of that, the colors, rainbows, just unbelievable.
Certainly a cubist.
Got some cubism, yes. Not strictly the circles. Influence. He's got little squares, rectangles. Got a lot going on here, folks. Magnificent portrait. What size would we say this is?
This is 20 by 30, I would say.
20 by 30. Now, it's is it a blonde and a black? No, it's a solid blonde frame.
That's
natural wood again. So you don't want to take away from some of those colors with something that would clash with it. Even a black, I think, putting it in a lighter color just even emphasizes the light on this particular model. All right, now what we're going to do, folks, we're going to take almost her sister. We're going to take a look at the last one that James has brought. And as I mentioned, he is a similar one, but done with a magnificent, vibrant blue and white face at Daniel's on the Bayou. So it would be great to do two things. One, go take a look at his work because he has numerous paintings hanging there. Have a great lunch or dinner at Daniel's. And you will be awestruck by this particular lady. I don't know what he calls this, but let's go ahead and take. We're going to see now. I wouldn't say it's a twin, but certainly a very close relative. And what would we say this one's title, or do we have a title?
There is no title.
No title.
There is no title.
Well, notice what I see. I see a little more sophistication on this lady. She's applied magnificent lipstick, so she might be, really anxious to get out in the world. The other one might have been a little more reclusive. This is much more extrovertal. Again, done with I would say normal colors, but not near the circuitry colors of the other. Almost a typical blue sky. And just some radiant things again coming out from the head. but the hair, the same hair, but done just with so many colorings. Again, the black line definition here is much more refined, I find it. It's not as angulated, not as rough hewn. It's got some curves, like I say, even the nose it doesn't have that hardcore reality. So that's why I see this is certainly the lady, I would say of the evening, but certainly looking to move out and to do a little something a little bit more than just staying at home and admiring herself. She's putting herself outside for the beauty of the world, and we're really glad to see it.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a little bit more space in this painting.
Exactly. The circuitry being so filling and on the other one worked with and against the picture. This one really works well by having all that space so that you really focus, even though in all you still see the whole thing, but you really get the dynamics of the female as opposed to the female in the background. So that's what I like about it. Again, done in a blind frame. I would say approximately the same size. What would you say?
Same size.
Same size. Okay, well that's great. Well, folks, I hope you're as pleased as we've been today. We were so glad to have our artists. As you know, we have Artist Revue the last Wednesday of every month. We were so glad to take a look at James T. Martin's works. One more time, his website is jamestmartin.com.
That's
so
right.
At your leisure, go hit that up. Now let's go one more time. If you want to see any of these works or some of these works at any of these institutions, most of them are geared to some place where you can eat or have some beverage, so that makes it even more valuable to you. So let's go ahead. The first one is what?
Café des Gars.
Café des Gars. We've never had them on our show, but as we know, that has been always the premier outdoor basic French cooking of our city on Esplanade. Just centrally located, a very, very well-known restaurant. And how many pieces would you say you might have there?
7.
7. Okay, now, basically, Café des Gars is almost an island. And right across the street on this Ponce de Leon Drive is called Swirl, which is a new wine store that features everything. Of course, it has art as well. And how many pieces would you have there, Bob?
There are 11 pieces there. That show will end after next Tuesday night.
Okay, so we only got a week more to see that. The one at Degas will be a little longer.
We'll go through January.
Okay. And lastly, where we would certainly encourage you to go, Daniel's on the Bayou in the Park Esplanade. You can park in, which is really great, you can park in the back. You can go drive right in, park right there. How many pieces do you have there?
8.
8. That'll be till when?
Through January.
All right. Folks, it's been a real pleasure to have James Martin. We're really running out of time.
December 3rd, 5 to 7, there will be a Meet the Artist opening at Café des Gars.
Okay, Café des Gars. I'm sorry we have to cut it short. Hopefully he'll put that on the website. Folks, again, stick around. Next week we'll be back to our restaurant show. Not next week. This is Thanksgiving week, so we'll see. But I think, December 3rd, we've got it formulated. We've got a great restaurant we'll be doing called BB's. BB's is out on the lakefront. It was formerly Wolf's. Tommy Wolf, who's been on our stage in the second year of our show, when he gave up his Lakeview restaurant to go uptown or downtown in the quarter. This has been several places, but it's been lately BB's for about since March. Great chef. So make sure you watch for us next week. I think that's the 5th of December, our normal time slot. That'll be BB's. We're looking at another restaurant called Leonardo's in St. Charles for the following week. The new year, we've got one already booked for January, a great Mexican restaurant that has locations both in New Orleans and just opened in Metairie. So, and that one, we'll keep that under wraps for now. Until then, we'll see you either at the galleries or the restaurants. Take care.
I think she was going to try